For those who are yoga love people who don't know Ashton yet, she is an amazing writer. We're going to talk about, I have one of her books right here. I want to hear what else is hopefully in the pipeline. Awesome yoga teacher, like killing it over there on YouTube and with her company, YouAligned, which we'll talk about. I think you're my birthday buddy, and I was going to be like, yeah, August 7th. And
yes.
I was like,
we're
wait,
birthday twins.
August 7th? Okay. That would have been super awkward. Yeah, we shared. No, we don't.
Hi, Renika.
Yeah. So go Leos. All this stuff that we're probably not going to get to today, depending on how this conversation goes. But before we do dive into the conversation, I wanted to just share a little bit about how this came about. Because Yoga Love magazine, they're doing their second issue. It's coming out soon, and it's all about love. And I got an email that said, hey, do you want to host an IG Live just highlighting someone in the yoga community who you absolutely love? And it literally didn't take me a second. And I was like, I know, like, it's got to be Ashton. But the funny thing is, then I realized we've actually never met in person. Yeah, we've been like passing in the night, I feel like in other countries, in other parts of this country, and still yet never met in person.
Hopefully that changes soon.
Someday. I'm going to be in Arizona. And
I am.
You're in Arizona now?
I'm at home in Tucson.
Going to be there in April, but I feel like for some reason you won't be there then. Anyway, so want to highlight all the lovely things about you that led to me asking you to be on here. Starting with your company, YouAligned. So like a few years, it's like before COVID, I started doing some writing for your company, and then I started teaching yoga classes. And I feel like you and the whole company evolved just sort of in the same way that I was moving. Yoga Love just did a whole transformation from being very New York focused to going nationally and focusing more on wellness. So back when I started working with you, you were Yogi approved, and just kind of a little curious. Like one day I got an email. It's like, we're going to do this transition, right? Totally made sense to me, but just curious about what sparked the change and like where things are going.
First of all, it's been such an honor to work with you over the past several years now, Lauren, and in so many fun capacities too. So, and I've just loved seeing your personal growth and evolution as a teacher and in the space too. And I think that for all of us who practice yoga, we understand this evolution, right? Where we start with the physical asana, and then all of a sudden we're deepening into self-exploration and self-work and all these other aspects. So the same thing happened with Yogi Approved, now YouAligned, in that when I started this company back in 2015, it was a purely yoga magazine. And we quickly evolved into so much more. And really the name change I've been marinating on for over a year before we made it a reality, because I just knew that our name was no longer embodying who we had become. And we evolved from a yoga-centric focus to a wellness focus, with yoga, of course, remaining one of the key pillars of wellness. But we have evolved into covering and being so much more. As a mental health advocate myself, mental health and mental wellness is a huge part of what's important to me. And so taking that aspect on, as well as all parts of mind, body, life, wellness. So hence why I wanted this rebrand and this name change. I wanted to keep YA, because we all know YA classes, right? Lauren is an incredible instructor on YA classes. I can't stop taking her latest class. All of your classes are great, but that one just really speaks to my soul. And anyway, I wanted to keep the initials. And one day in the shower, where all great ideas are born, I just thought of YouAligned, because it's mind, body, life alignment through wellness. So
yeah, it's so it's just brilliant, like so natural to, and yeah, it made absolute perfect sense to me. And like you said, you get to keep the YA. It makes it simple. It makes
exactly.
it easy.
Brand awareness is a big one.
Yeah. Totally. So as students, for folks who aren't familiar with the YouAligned platform, you can find articles about all sorts of wellness topics, and you can take classes, lots of yoga classes, of course. But like Ashton was saying, my latest class is actually a Tabata class.
So fun.
More like high intensity intervals. There's all sorts of like mindfulness exercises and stuff. Where's it going? Like, can you give us a little hint of kind of what's next, or how?
Yeah. So YA Classes is a top-rated yoga app. In fact, we're often #1 in the App Store, which is very exciting. We've been voted top 10 online yoga resources worldwide for several years in a row. And so with all this recognition and growth, we're really excited because we're adding a lot more impactful offerings to our members. So that's what's next for YA Classes membership. Is it's not going to just be these movement classes. Of course, those will remain. We'll continue adding those, but we're also adding several more very exciting, very value-packed, very impactful offerings. So more on that to come soon, but those are all in the works, and I'm really excited for those to go live so I can talk more about them.
For now, we'll just have
I'm excited.
To wonder. I'm excited too. So you all, I also definitely want to talk to Ashton about her writing and her books, and I want to share a little bit from, I hope you don't mind, today's, I have to like hold it up higher. But also I want to know if anyone else has questions. So if you do have questions, type in the comment box. We can see them, and we can talk about whatever you all want to talk about too, instead of just whatever in my head. I think is a good idea.
And so yes, please ask your questions in the comments. And Lauren, as I start to share about my book a little bit, would you mind pinning a comment about where they can check out YouAligned.com and YA Classes? Thank you. So you want me to just kind of share a brief little overview about that book?
Yeah, I'd love to know if you share an overview. I'll read today's passage, and I can share after you explain about the book, like what I love about it so much. But I also am just curious about like what inspired it, and
yeah,
it's awesome.
I love that you love my book. First off, thank you so much. I'm also excited to hear what today's message is because I haven't checked in a while, so I don't remember. So what inspired me to write it? That A Year of Self-Motivation for Women is the book that we're talking about. That's the second book that I have published. And there it is. Yay! Yay!
Backwards, but yay.
Yes. What motivated me to write that book was my first book was a 30-day workbook for personal growth. So it was 30 days of establishing self-serving habits and practices to empower you for the rest of the year and into your life. And so the second book, A Year of Self-Motivation, was designed to carry you throughout an entire year. And whereas my first book was a deeper dive, the Year of Self-Motivation for Women is a quick, kind of easy, digestible book where every day is a short quote, an empowering affirmation, or a short guided practice that you can do. And so it was a really fun way for me to create basically a follow-up with a slightly different approach, and specifically for women. So while my first book was open to everyone, and while my second book is of course relevant to everyone, it was geared specifically for females. And what I love about that is I'm involved in many, female-oriented networks and communities. And it's so important that we continue, supporting and uplifting women. So I'm really, really proud and honored to be, a woman in the industry doing my part of that exact thing. So that's kind of how it came about. My favorite thing, thank you for all these comments. You're doing a great job, Lauren. I'm
writing the book title right now, and then I can, can't talk.
Oh, you're amazing. You're amazing. One of my favorite things about the Year of Self-Motivation for Women is seeing everyone tag me in like a day that was particularly relevant to them, or, just a random day that they're reading the book, they open it up. It's so fun to see y'all's engagement and involvement with that book. It's really rewarding. So thank you for that.
Addicted. Sort of. I probably spelled something wrong. We're not gonna watch. We won't watch. Yeah. So as I was saying, I haven't figured out how to type and talk at the same time. I also haven't figured out how to type and listen at the same time. So I don't know if Ashton told you yet, but one of my favorite things about this book, and I'll just, so you can see, one of my favorite things about it is that there's a passage for every single day, but it's not like there's a calendar where you're kind of committed to 2023 and then, you toss it, you're done with it. You can just reuse it again and again. So this is year 2 for me with the book, and I find like a new nugget all the time. It always feels like there's something like just right on point to whatever life is throwing my way, which is pretty amazing. Like, you must be a mind reader, I don't know, but I wanted to share today's passage, February 17. It says, and so now you'll know what it says if you haven't remembered, but it's I'm just gonna, why don't you have it all memorized? But anyway, it says, live simply, love generously, care deeply, and speak kindly. This is my formula for peace, contentment, and joy. I apply it consistently and relax into the tranquility that follows. And I teach like on Zoom a Friday morning yoga class that I just have been doing since the pandemic basically started. It's usually like my mom and a couple of people, like just fun stuff. But I oftentimes, it's the end of the week and absolute chaos, and I wake up and I'm like, what am I teaching? I'm not focused. So I oftentimes will come to your book and just read whatever is in there, and then that just leads to all the rest. So this morning's class, I'm gonna put it on YouTube, but like that's literally how it went. I asked a student, what do you want to do today? Shoulders and abs, and then I read this, and then somehow it all like
I love that
together. But what I got out of it today for myself was very much about self-motivation. And so when I read Live Simply, and I'm looking around at the clutter in my house, and I'm like, yeah, I feel better. I feel better when I simplify things, right? It kind of motivated me a little bit to get off my bum and organize. I speak kindly, like not only to others, but like speak kindly to yourself. And it got me thinking. But again, it's always like whatever's going on in my life, I relate whatever's in here to that, and it's just written in such an amazing way where it's so easy to do that. So you all should check it out. Especially just am grateful for your work that's geared towards women, specifically towards women. Some folks know I'm a lawyer by day for the government. I have my day job, but I've always had this like side hustle in wellness, and over the years I can hear so many voices being like, you need to focus more broadly. It shouldn't just be women. But I connect so much and feel so much for like women need more resources, particularly like women who are on the go and have like careers and other things going on in life,
like ourselves.
Yes. So a million times thank you for this and that.
Thank you for sharing that. And I also want to just say something quickly. It just struck me, Lauren, when you're hearing those voices of the shoulds, I think we all get that a lot internally, from our inner circle, from society as a whole, these shoulds, what we ought to be doing. And regardless of what those voices are, if you feel compelled to work specifically with and advocate for specifically women, do it. It is so incredibly rewarding. You already are that. I already view you as that. So to step fully into that power for yourself, that's the most powerful thing you can do. So I would encourage you to look past the shoulds.
I appreciate it, and thank you again, because I think you've always encouraged me to do that, and I expect the same, that you've done the same for the other teachers on the YouAligned platform. Like, it's kind of like, what do you want? What do you want to teach? What do you want to share? And that tends to be the best stuff, right?
Exactly.
Rather than the shoulds. So deep down, I know the shoulds.
It's a work in progress. Those shoulds.
Yeah, I think it's always a work in progress. Yeah, 100%. So, I love this book. I don't know that I have your first one, but I do want to know. Well, first I want to know anything else in the pipeline.
Well, first of all, I'm gonna send you a copy of my first book because you need to have it. Because you should have it. Just kidding.
We're back to the show.
And all right, I'm gonna be super honest with you. I received a third book deal. I wrote the book, and then the book was canceled, along with many of the other titles with that publisher, due to the impending recession. That was their reasoning. So that's been kind of kept under wraps, honestly, just because it was really, it was a shock and it was a huge disappointment when it first happened. But I think it's important to share these things because from the outside looking in on social media, everyone looks like their lives are great and everything is perfect. And I feel like a lot of us are not sharing often enough about the other side, the challenges, the disappointments, the letdowns, the setbacks. So that happened. And it took me a while to kind of get over it. It was a huge bummer, like I said. So I did write a third book, and that book is in major limbo right now. We do not know what's going to be happening with that book. But the good news is, despite that temporary setback, I will either be focusing on my next book and or working to get that third book published one way or another. So to be continued on that.
The lawyer side of me was like, how does that work? What are the legal implications? Can you take it somewhere else? Like, probably a conversation that no one else is interested in.
I'll send you a personal update after that, and we can chat a little bit. I would love that.
But I'm glad you shared that. I think I definitely am one of those people who, like I mentioned earlier, wellness is like my side hustle, like my passion and my side hustle. And so sometimes I look out there and I see the views of the world and other people who are immersed in this as like your full-time career. And I think like, I wish that could be me. I wish it looked like that. Like maybe if, this, that, or the other. And so I think it's important for people to know, especially the other like wellness professionals, but even no matter what it is that you're doing, that like we all experience setbacks.
Yeah.
So as a yoga teacher, I feel that a lot, right? Like sometimes I feel like, is it okay to say that I just had a crappy day? Like yoga teachers aren't supposed to have a crappy day.
Right.
Like, have it all together.
When I first started teaching yoga, I remember I would basically tiptoe onto the mat because it was so holy and everything just had to be, this one thing. And then you realize that, well, the best thing we can do for our students is show up fully and authentically. And that's not always going to be sunshine and rainbows. It's also going to be the challenges, the setbacks, the crappy days, like you said. And that's okay because it reminds us all that it's okay to not be okay, that life happens. There's always going to be ebbs and flows. None of us are immune to it. And it's that communal sense of we're in it together. So thank you for letting me share. And
that's the tribe I want, the community I want, right? The people who are going to celebrate my wins with me, but also like be there for the
be a listening ear and a shoulder to cry on. Absolutely. It's all of the above, babe.
I'm laughing because we had like drama in my house over the last 2 weeks. We had I'll just say I allowed, like, our au pair had emergency surgery. I brought her to the hospital, and like 4 o'clock in the morning, it's like, guess what? Like, this is what's happening. And then I have 2 kids, right? Who's going to take care of the kids? Because she's supposed to take care of the kids. And it was amazing to watch friends and family just, like, you know, show up, in ways that, like, I never would have even asked them or expected, and was afraid to ask them, but they did it anyway. So 100%. That's, like, you know, there to celebrate the wins and the fun times, but also.
And that's a beautiful reminder for everyone listening, and for us too, that it's so powerful to ask for help. It's so empowering to ask for help. And to then accept it can be really humbling and empowering at the same time. And it's a practice that for years I just didn't understand. It was like, no, I can do it all by myself. And actually, how can I help you too? And I realized one day that that's a path to burnout. That's completely unrealistic. Speaking of women, I think women in particular do this a lot, right? Where it's like, no, I got it under control, and let me help you too. But what
women, and I'm not usually one to, like, base things on, oh, you're a Leo, you're this, but I think it's a Leo thing too.
Oh yeah, we're the ones that are like, we're gonna hold the whole room on our shoulders. We're gonna carry everyone through, no matter how. Exactly. So yes, I do think that could play a factor too. But it's really amazing to see people show up for you, and that's the other part of it is when we say no to help, or we don't even ask in the first place, we're taking away that opportunity for someone else to show up for us, because that can feel so good. Like, I'm sure your family and friends that stepped up for you and your husband, they were so happy to do it. They were fulfilled by doing it.
Yeah, and I think, like, sometimes it's hard to, like, accept that when I look at other people, but then if I think of, like, in the same example, like, I was happy to go to the hospital every day and check up on this girl who I've only known for 3 weeks, because, like, I was happy to, right? I wanted to, like, in a messed up happy, maybe is quite the right word, but really, like, I wanted to be there so that everything was okay. And when I look at it that way, then I'm like, oh, okay, I can see how other people also would be happy to do the same. But when I'm the one asking for help, like, sometimes it's hard to see that.
And I understand, but it's a good practice.
But just kind of coming, it's a good practice. Kind of coming full circle. I'm so psyched that YouAligned is bringing in some of your, I think, inspiration and work as a mental health advocate, and that I truly believe that movement is so powerful for our mental health, but it's not.
It's
not everything. So
absolutely,
so
you're right. And not to interrupt you at all, but yes, one thing that we're adding in addition to the movement classes is non-movement programs. So mindfulness practices for anxiety, that's a program that's going to be coming out soon. So different sort of program offerings, nutrition, because that even plays a role in our mental health, right? We're doing one on skincare. So it's fun to explore all these different facets of wellness and how they're all interconnected. And I'm really enjoying that expansion with YA classes. So, and that's a good thing for you to know, not just, you know, as a fan and for someone who's obviously facilitating this interview, but also as one of our dear teachers, if there's ever anything non-movement that you're interested in teaching. Now we can talk about that.
I was going to say, did I ever tell you that once a week I actually teach, like, a mindfulness session for all of the lawyers in my office, for whoever wants to show up? I started doing it at the very beginning of COVID for my old agency, and then when I moved, the new one asked, "Oh, hey, we hear you teach yoga," and everybody's stressed, like, can you do this? And so.
Well, congrats, and I love that you're doing that, and I would love to talk more about mindfulness offerings for YA.
Awesome sauce. Y'all, I think unless anyone has any questions for Ashton, I'll wrap things up. You can check in the comments. I'll make sure to save this. So you can find youaligned.com, and I did just look right there. Everything's 50% off the membership right now. So now is a good time to
Yes, we are having a 50%
yes.
off annual sale. So your annual membership is, it comes down to $7 a month for the annual membership. So it's such an amazing buy.
Wow.
And really great deal. And you'll plant trees for every class you complete and do good for your body and your mental health. So yeah, definitely check us out. You get 2 free weeks and you can take classes with me, with Lauren, of course, and with many other incredible teachers. Yes.
Yeah. Thanks so
Thank you so much for having me, Lauren. And did you say that you will be saving this video to the Yoga Magazine page? Awesome.
Yes. I'm not gonna mess it up. I practiced
so cute.
right before I came on here. Yeah. My personal Instagram has some random video up there where I'm like testing how to do this, probably some curse words. It's probably gonna get deleted for me. But yeah, I will save this here, and I'm gonna tag Ashton and also her I'll tag her personal account that we're on now, but also the YouAligned account so that you can find that.
Well, thank you so much again for having me, Lauren, and thank you to everyone who attended and tuned in to watch. This was so fun.
Thank you. And now we're all gonna watch me awkwardly like try to figure out how to stop this without deleting things. Okay, I'm self-conscious about like my nose hairs. Here we go.
Bye everyone. Thank you.